Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by. If you are a returning subscriber, I appreciate that as well. And if you are returning because you saw my first review for The Rings of Power Episode 1, I also really appreciate that as well. Alright, so let's jump right into my review for the second episode of The Rings of Power. So right from the beginning, I would say I really liked the first episode. This episode, I didn't have as much of a fun time. I've seen some other reviews and people said it was a bore fest and a drag and they were falling asleep. I didn't experience that at all, but I will admit it was a little more boring. This episode felt like a filler episode, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but when you have a show that comes out every week instead of all the episodes right at once, you can't really do that, in my opinion, because I think you're going to lose people. Because at the end of episode 2, you're like, okay, I have more questions. I want to know what's going on. I'm going to watch episode 3. And episode 3 isn't there because it doesn't come out till next week. Which, in a way, works because you want to know what's going to happen. And you'll probably return to watch it. But at the same time, it also makes the second episode stand out more as a filler episode. An episode that's just about showing us a little bit more of the characters, showing us a few things that are going on that aren't a huge part of the story. Like, I didn't feel like hardly anything in this episode developed the story at all. I could be wrong because we haven't seen the future episodes yet, so this episode could be pivotal, but I really feel like it isn't going to be. I feel like you could have made this episode 20 minutes and told us everything we need to know in order to have the same questions we have at the end of the episode being an hour long. I gotta say, Galadriel, as much as I like her and I find her character interesting, if she stays with this attitude of her character being so at odds with everybody, like she doesn't get along with anybody, no one else gets along with her, like there's always some kind of tension going on. If they don't address that as the show goes on and make her character a little bit more soft, I feel like people are going to lose their emotional attachment that we should be feeling for this character. I think it's going to go away. I could be wrong, but I could also be right.
Wow!
I also think it would be a great thing for the show if in the next 6 episodes we see her become more soft, more caring, a little bit more open-minded to other things that people are saying. I think that would actually make the character much more interesting. We finally get to go to Khazad-dûm, I believe it's called. It's actually pretty cool looking. I saw a few scenes that they put in the trailers. I was really excited for it. It looks great in the show. I enjoyed it. I liked that feeling of being inside like a giant cavern. I think it worked. I felt really like, okay, this is Middle Earth. Like, this is what we've wanted to see for so long, because we don't really see the dwarves do much in the Hobbit films as far as mining, and we don't see the dwarves do anything in the Lord of the Rings trilogy as far as mining, because we all know that story. It was nice to finally see the dwarves do something that we've been told all along is what they do. Elrond and Durin, I thought their chemistry worked really well. They felt like old friends, but also bitter against each other. I mean, that was the whole point. I thought it came across great. I thought the chemistry was great. Speaking of chemistry, apparently there is some rumor going around online that Elrond is gay. There's people making videos getting hundreds and thousands of views because they're clickbaiting you. I watched this one review putting out this video hours before the show has even premiered. I'm like, so you're putting out a video strongly implying that one of the main characters is gay, and you're trying to make a controversy, but you haven't even seen the first episode yet. Like, it makes you look like an idiot. I'm not sorry for saying that. It just does. You can't judge things completely before you see them, before you know more about it. Just because someone else came out who's in favor of, and I gotta be careful because I don't want to get into politics because I'm keeping my channel as politically free as I can because it's everywhere now and it drives me crazy. I just want to have a place for entertainment and enjoyment and opinions that are not political. But because this is Lord of the Rings related, I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about here. Just because someone on the left side of the political spectrum is saying,
Elrond comes across as gay, and I think he's gay, and this should be so great for the gay community, and it's so woke, and we're so proud.
doesn't mean it's true. And then you have people on the right side of the political spectrum who run with this and say,
oh, Amazon and Lord of the Rings is just destroying everything, and they made characters gay, and everything has to be woke.
and it's like, there's actually no basis for that. There's no factual basis for either sides of the spectrum to be saying this. I just think it's ridiculous. It feels like the left to me wants something to be woke, so therefore they see it as woke. The right side of the spectrum also wants it to be woke because they want something else to bitch and complain about. And that's what's happening. And again, it's just causing a further divide, not only of people in general, but also of the fan base of Lord of the Rings. We already have enough issues going on. I don't understand why we need to create more tension and more issues and more splitting of fans. I just don't get it. I watched both episodes last night. I am usually very observational, and I didn't pick up on any gay undertones. Like, you're delusional if you think it's there, and you're also ignorant if you think it's there because you want to complain about it. Because it's not. Also, for those who say,
Oh, it's there, it's in the looks, it's in the glances people give each other and stuff.
to you I say this. Have you seen The Fellowship of the Ring? Have you seen The Two Towers? Have you seen Return of the King? Have you watched Sam and Frodo? If you have done any of those things, I think you're absolutely crazy to say that the last two episodes we saw had gay undertones and Lord of the Rings movies and books do not. That's all I'm going to say about that. Alright, so moving on. As far as the soundtrack went, I didn't feel like it was as prominent as the first episode. Maybe it was because I was more used to it, or maybe it was because they used it less. I'm not really sure. But because it didn't stand out in episode 2, I think that's a good thing. Production quality all around is great. I have no problems there. We finally get a title sequence that is composed by Howard Shore. Honestly, I don't even remember the tune, the theme, so it wasn't like that great, but it's still fun to watch. We finally get to see an orc or a goblin, one of the two. They are terrifying. They're scary in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but in this show, their like strength level and their creepiness and terrifying appearance is way more intense than the movies. And I liked that. I think that's something that could work out really, really well for this show. At the end of the first episode, we see a meteor shoot across the sky, and it crashes, and there's a man in it. We don't know who he is. He's only said a few words, and I believe it was... well, it wasn't in human speech. You can tell he's not like fully mentally there yet. I'm sure later on in the series he will be. I have a lot of questions about him. I'm looking forward to seeing where they go with this character. He's called, according to the subtitles, the Stranger. A lot of people are saying it could be Gandalf. I totally see why people say that. I also thought maybe it is. I think it would be kind of a bad idea if they brought Gandalf into this early, because he's not really supposed to be in the Second Age that much. But they might. I don't know. Either way, the character is interesting and intriguing, and I'm interested to see, like I said, where it's going to go. Those were my thoughts on episode 2 of Rings of Power. What did you think? Did you enjoy it more? Enjoy it less? What do you feel about some of the topics I brought up? I'd be very interested in reading what you have to say, or reading what you have to write, or you know what I mean. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see future reviews for this show, and reviews for movies, and reactions to trailers, other videos on the internet, and random videos that I make for entertainment, consider subscribing to my channel. I would very much appreciate it. Also give this video a like. Alright, thanks for watching. I hope you come back and see my review for episode 3 of The Rings of Power. My name is Aaron, and goodbye.